Listen up, because what I'm about to tell you might completely change how you see yourself. Right now, as you're watching this, there's probably a group of women somewhere, maybe at work, maybe among your friends, maybe even strangers you've met briefly, and they're talking about you. Not gossiping, not complaining. They're talking about you in a way that would probably shock you if you could hear it. They're analyzing your behavior, discussing what makes you different, and yes, debating whether you're single and how they might get your attention. The crazy part? You have absolutely no idea. See, here's what most guys don't understand about how women communicate with each other. You think when women talk about men, it's always negative, complaining about bad dates or toxic behavior. But there's another type of conversation that happens, and it's reserved for a very specific type of man. I'm talking about the guy who somehow manages to be memorable without trying to be. The one who leaves an impression that lingers long after he's left the room. The man who becomes a topic of conversation not because he's causing drama, but because he's genuinely intriguing. And if you're watching this video, there's a good chance you might be him. So let me ask you something and be honest with yourself as I go through these signs. How many of these sound familiar? Because if even 3 of these resonate, I guarantee there are women in your life right now who mention your name in conversations you'll never hear. Sign 1. Women ask their friends about you. This one's huge, and most guys completely miss it. You meet someone new, maybe at a party, maybe through work, maybe just in passing. You have what seems like a normal, brief interaction. You probably forget about it within hours. But she doesn't. She goes home, and the first thing she does is text her best friend, "Do you know anything about that guy from tonight? The one who..." And then she describes you in detail that would surprise you. What you were wearing, how you spoke, the way you carried yourself. Here's what's really happening. You've triggered what I call the research response. When a woman meets a man who genuinely interests her, her first instinct is to gather information. But she's not going to ask you directly because that would reveal her interest too early. Instead, she's going to leverage her social network. She's asking mutual friends about your relationship status, your personality, your interests. She's looking for intel that will help her determine if you're worth pursuing and how she might approach you. But here's the deeper psychology behind this. Women who ask about you aren't just casually curious. They're trying to figure out if what they sensed about you is real. You gave off some kind of energy or displayed some quality that made them think, there's something different about this one. The fact that they're willing to potentially embarrass themselves by asking others about you means you've made an impression that goes beyond physical attraction. They're interested in you as a person, not just as a potential hookup. Pay attention to this pattern. Do you ever hear through the grapevine that someone was asking about you? Do mutual friends ever mention that so-and-so was wondering about your situation? That's not random curiosity. That's strategic information gathering. Sign 2. They quote you in conversations. You're not part of this one's going to make you think back to things you've said that you barely remember. Has anyone ever told you that someone repeated something you said weeks ago? Maybe it was a joke. Maybe it was an opinion. Maybe it was just an observation about something completely random. You probably thought they just had a good memory or found your comment particularly funny. But let me tell you what's really happening. When women talk about you in conversations you're not part of, they're not just sharing random information. They're sharing pieces of you that stuck with them. That witty comment you made about work? She repeated it because it showed your sense of humor. That thoughtful observation about life? She shared it because it demonstrated your depth. Here's the psychology. When someone becomes a regular topic of conversation, it's because they've occupied mental real estate. Your words, your perspectives, your way of seeing things has become part of how they process the world around them. But there's another layer here. When women quote you to their friends, they're also building a case. They're saying, see? This is why I think he's interesting. This is why he's different. They're collecting evidence of your personality to share with their inner circle because they want validation for their interest in you. Women do this because they value their friends' opinions about potential romantic interests. By sharing your words and perspectives, they're introducing you to their social circle even when you're not there. They're creating familiarity and interest among people who matter to them. The crazy part is, you have no idea that your casual comments are being preserved and shared. That funny story you told once? It's probably been retold multiple times. That insight you shared about something? It's influenced conversations you'll never be part of. This is happening because you possess something rare. Memorable communication. You say things in ways that stick with people. Whether it's your humor, your wisdom, or just your unique perspective, you're creating quotable moments without even trying. Sign 3. They defend you when you're not there. This sign is powerful, and most men never find out it's happening. Someone criticizes you, makes a joke at your expense, or questions something about you when you're not around. Instead of agreeing or staying silent, these women jump to your defense. Maybe it's shutting down gossip about you. Maybe it's correcting misconceptions. Maybe it's simply saying, actually, he's really nice, when someone makes an assumption about your character. Here's what this means. You've earned something incredibly valuable, unsolicited loyalty. These women aren't defending you because they have to or because it benefits them in any way. They're defending you because they genuinely respect you and want others to see you the way they do. The psychology behind this is fascinating. When people defend someone who's not present, it reveals their true feelings about that person. It's easy to be nice to someone's face, but defending them when they can't defend themselves? That's genuine respect and care. But there's more to it. Women who defend you when you're not there are also protecting their own judgment. By speaking positively about you, they're reinforcing their own positive opinion of you. They're not just defending your character, they're defending their choice to think highly of you. This behavior also serves another purpose. It's a way of expressing interest without directly stating it. By defending you and speaking positively about you, they're signaling to others in their social circle that you're someone worth respecting and potentially pursuing. The fact that they're willing to potentially create social friction by defending you shows how much they value you. Most people avoid conflict, so when someone chooses to speak up for you, it means you're worth the potential awkwardness or disagreement. Pay attention to feedback that comes back to you. Do people ever tell you that someone stood up for you when you weren't there? Do you hear that someone corrected false information about you or shut down negative talk? That's not just good friendship. That's someone who sees value in you that they want to protect. Sign 4. They remember and reference your stories. This one's subtle but incredibly telling. You tell a story once, maybe about your childhood, maybe about something that happened at work, maybe just a random experience you had. Weeks or months later, someone brings it up in conversation, either to you or to others. Oh, that reminds me of what your name said about... Or, didn't your name have something similar happen to him? You probably think they just have good memories for stories. But here's what's really going on. Your experiences have become part of their mental database. They're not just remembering your stories, they're integrating them into how they understand the world. This happens because when women are genuinely interested in someone, they listen differently. They're not just hearing your words, they're learning about who you are through your experiences. Your stories give them insight into your values, your sense of humor, how you handle challenges, what matters to you. But here's the deeper significance. When someone regularly references your stories, it means you've influenced their thinking. Your experiences have become reference points for them. They use your stories to make sense of their own experiences or to contribute to conversations. This is incredibly intimate, even though it might not seem like it. Carrying someone's stories with you and sharing them with others is a form of emotional investment. It means your experiences matter to them beyond just entertainment value. The fact that they remember details and context shows they were fully present when you were sharing. In a world where most people are half listening, someone who remembers and references your stories is someone who values what you have to say. Women do this because stories reveal character. The experiences you choose to share, how you tell them, what you emphasize, all of this gives them information about who you are as a person. And when they repeat these stories, they're sharing their understanding of your character with others. Sign 5. They bring you up in unrelated conversations. This is the biggest sign, and it's happening more than you realize. You're not part of a conversation, but somehow your name comes up anyway. Someone mentions a restaurant and they say, "Oh, your name would love this place." Someone talks about a movie and they mention, "This is totally your name's type of film." Or they're discussing a problem at work and they suggest, "You should ask your name about that. He'd have good insight." Each individual instance seems random, but when you step back and look at the pattern, something becomes clear. You've become their go-to reference for certain types of situations, preferences, or expertise. Here's the psychology. When someone frequently brings you up in unrelated conversations, it means you've occupied significant mental space. You're not just someone they know. You're someone they think of when processing different aspects of life. This happens because you've made such a strong impression that you've become associated with certain qualities, interests, or capabilities in their minds. Maybe you're the funny guy, so they think of you when something humorous happens. Maybe you're the thoughtful guy, so they reference you when deep conversations arise. But there's another layer here that's even more significant. When women bring you up in conversations you're not part of, they're also keeping you present in their social circle. They're making sure you remain relevant and top of mind among their friends. This serves multiple purposes. First, it reinforces their own connection to you by talking about you regularly. Second, it creates familiarity and interest among their friends, potentially building social proof for you. Third, it positions them as someone who knows you well, which increases their social value within their group. The fact that they're doing this unconsciously makes it even more telling. They're not strategically planning to mention you. You just naturally come to mind when certain topics arise. This means you've genuinely influenced how they think about the world around them. What this all means. If you're recognizing yourself in these signs, understand what a unique position you're in. Most men go through life hoping to be memorable, trying to make impressions, working to become the kind of person others want to talk about. You've achieved this naturally without trying, which means it's authentic and sustainable. But being the man women talk about isn't just about attraction. It's about respect, interest, and genuine connection. The women who talk about you aren't just physically attracted, they're intellectually and emotionally engaged by who you are as a person. This happens because you possess qualities that are rare in today's world. Authenticity, depth, the ability to make genuine connections without trying to impress anyone. You're not performing or putting on an act, which makes you unpredictable and interesting. The conversations happening about you right now aren't just idle chatter. They're evidence that you've made a real impact on people. You've influenced how others think, provided memorable moments, and created connections that extend beyond your physical presence. Here's what you can do with this information. Start paying attention to the feedback loop. Notice when people reference things you've said or done. Pay attention to who seems to remember details about your life or brings you up in conversations. These are the people who see value in you that goes beyond surface-level interaction. But remember, being talked about is both a privilege and a responsibility. People are investing emotional energy in thinking about you, remembering your words, and sharing your stories. Be worthy of that investment by continuing to be authentic, thoughtful, and genuine in your interactions. The most attractive thing about men who become regular topics of conversation is that they're not trying to be anyone's topic at all. They're just living their lives authentically, treating people well, and being comfortable in their own skin. This authenticity is magnetic because it's so rare. Keep being yourself, keep treating people well, and keep living genuinely. These qualities will continue to make you memorable and worth talking about throughout your entire life. And remember, somewhere right now, there's probably a group of women having a conversation, and your name just came up. They're talking about something you said, something you did, or just wondering what you're up to. The question is, are you living in a way that makes those conversations worth having?